Welcome to JRL Studio Creations. This is part 3 of making Yiga Schematics from Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. In this video, we will stain the paper as well as bind the Yiga Schematics together. Let's get started. We're going to need a pan. Today we're going to be staining and we'll be using coffee stain. Notice that I don't have the Yiga clan logo on yet. Right here I'm going to get some really hot water and then we're going to mix some coffee grounds in with it. This is an excellent way to make really old-fashioned looking paper. You can use coffee or tea when staining paper. Let's take this outside. This is actually quite a bit of coffee, so maybe don't use this much. I'm going to use a heating tool to dry this out. As you heat up the paper, it will naturally darken and start to appear to be very old. If you don't want to do it in a pan, you can put coffee stain on a paper plate and then crumple up a plastic bag and do little cool splotchy marks all over the paper. It actually looks really good when it dries. It still can be a little messy, but it's easy cleanup. Once the paper dries, it'll look something like this. If it has little dark areas like this, that's from the coffee grounds. Let's fold this thing up. I've already done some pre-folded areas so that you can be able to see how to fold your very own Yiga Schematics. If you want to further darken it, you can also take a pencil and put it on your thumb and just rub it here and there and make smudge marks. I like to use the Yiga Schematics picture as a point of reference. I also like to stain the area where the cording will be in the binding of the actual notebook. It just adds an extra dimension of age as well as it just looks really cool. So I like to stain that area where the bindings will be. Alright, enough with the front page. Let's move on to the middle paper. We're going to stain this middle paper just like we did with the front page. So we'll add a lot of coffee on it and then we'll just let it dry out fully. And then after we let it dry out, we'll need a lot more. How many more? At least 60. For the back page, I actually just use a brown piece of paper and just put coffee stain on it. Just like that. Works great. Alrighty, let's assemble our Yiga clan schematics. We'll put our brown paper down first, our paper in the middle, and we'll make a nice sandwich with our front page on top. You'll want to make sure that all these papers align very well because we're going to be drilling in these 5 dots that we created. Also, this is a really good time to put on our Yiga clan logo if you haven't already. So we just put a little bit of glue on the back. This is just a normal stick glue and we're just going to put it right in that corner where we created that rectangle in part 1 of this series. Now it's time to drill. I used a drill bit that is a diamond drill bit, and I just make sure everything was aligned and drill in through each of the layers. The first one I put a nail through after I drilled through it to hold everything in place, and I had a board underneath it. See? Now let's bind this thing together. We'll want to split our paper in half, and we're going to set that off to the side, the top piece for a second, while we get a very large needle. And we're going to thread either yarn or a thicker type of string. I didn't have any gold string on hand, so I'm just going to use this white string. Alrighty, we want to take our needle and put it through the layers of our middle hole. Again, this is half the stack. Then we'll take our top half of the stack and we're going to feed it through and then put all the layers through with the needle and pull it tight. Perfect. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our needle and we're going to come in through the back of the book on the hole that's next up from the middle. And then once we pull that tight, we'll wrap back around on the back of the binding and go back through that hole once more and then pull it tight again. Now from the front of the book, we're going to actually want to go back in through the next hole up. So we don't go to the bottom hole, we go to the next hole up and then again wrap through that hole that we just barely put through again. And it should look just like this. Then we'll wrap around the top and again go back through that hole once more, and it might get a little bit tight, so I use some pliers and then it'll just be just fine. Come back through that hole that was on the back, and then finally we'll go back through our middle hole once more. Alright, half of our binding is done. Now we're going to come in through the back, wrap around that same hole we went through, and then pull it tight. Now go to the next hole down, pull it tight, wrap around our back of our binding once more, go through that hole, and then go through that hole again. Again, it can get a little bit tight. It should look like this. Then go through that final hole on the back. And this is where it can get a little bit tricky because now in the front, we're going to want to go halfway through our book. So we're going only halfway through our book to where we originally began. And just be careful not to poke a hole like I did. Okay, so we'll pull it tight. And then once we open this back up, you can undo the knot that you had there to hold it in place. And then just retie both of the pieces of the string together. Snip it with a pair of scissors. And literally, we are done! I absolutely love these Yiga schematics. They are so cool, and they make a great notebook. Thank you so much for joining me, and you are so cool!